Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over those couple storms that are going to be moving into the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. We're going to primarily be focusing on the first storm, which is going to be taking place for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday in these areas, and we'll give you a brief look at what you should be expecting with that storm, as well as some initial snowfall totals. In terms of a snowfall forecast, I'll probably have that out either tomorrow or the day after, depending on how big of a storm this one looks to become. And then briefly towards the end of the video, we are going to be talking about those other few storms which could move into the same area and maybe be a little bit colder with some snow further to the south than the first storm. So here's what the current weather photo of the day looks like. This one's from Steve from Central Maryland, showing some cirrocumulus clouds, again in Central Maryland. Really great photo there from Steve. And if you guys have any other weather photos that you want to send in, send them over to my email address, which is elitheweatherguyyt@gmail.com, and then just write a general location from where you took that photo from. So like Steve did, you could just write Central Maryland. You could write a town name if you feel comfortable, but really it just has to be a general location so that we can have an idea of where that photo was taken from. Here's a look at our current National Weather Service page. As you can see, we have a few high wind warnings and watches up for parts of Montana and Wyoming, as well as for parts of upstate New York. We have some winter weather advisories in parts of northern Montana, as well as some winter storm warnings in northeastern Montana. We have winter storm watches up for northern North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin, and that's from the storm that we will be talking about in today's video. Yesterday, we had a high temperature of 90 degrees in Rio Grande Village, Texas. The low temperature was in Jackman, Maine, where they got down to 5 degrees. And the highest rainfall report was 1.9 inches in Franklin, New Hampshire. The highest snowfall report was 2 miles north of East Dover, Vermont, where they got 5 inches of snowfall. So here's a look at the European model and what it's expecting from the storm. Of course, each individual model is going to have its own forecast and different outlook on what could happen, but we're just going to be taking a look at the European model in today's video. You can see that we do have a little bit of a strip of snow, which is going to be originating in parts of the Midwest. That'll even move into some parts of Montana later today and into the Dakotas and Minnesota probably by Saturday and Sunday. It'll be moving into the Great Lakes by Sunday morning, so you do have a little bit of a strip of snow. But what you also see is that we have some moisture streaming in from the Gulf of Mexico. So we have some rain starting to push in, and that's eventually going to meet right over here with some of that snowfall, and you'll see a bigger storm come out of this. So here to be for Sunday evening, and you can see that we do have rain in parts of the lower Great Lakes and the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, and then we have some heavy to moderate snowfall in parts of northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, northern Michigan, and then some parts of Canada as well. So you do have some decent and heavy amounts of snowfall up into the upper Great Lakes, but for the lower lakes, it looks like it's going to be more of just a rain event out of this storm. It will also be fairly cold and windy on the back edge. So look at this. We have really strong winds coming in behind the storm. So with that snow already on the ground, you could see potentially blizzard-like conditions if you get a decent snowpack on the ground from just blowing snow. Really not because of the intensity of the snowfall per se, but if you have, for example, 6 inches of snowfall on the ground, some of that could get blown up just from the wind, and you wouldn't even have to have anything really falling at that particular moment to get a blizzard or blizzard-like condition. So just saying that it could be a little bit dangerous when you're driving on Monday morning, especially with those strong winds. Watch out for any downed trees or anything like that as well. We will have rain moving into the Ohio and Tennessee Valley, as well as parts of the Northeast by Monday morning, and then by Monday evening, it does start to lighten up a little bit. We have still some lake effect snowfall going on in parts of Michigan, but we do have mostly rainfall in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, with the exception of some parts of New York and Vermont, where you could see some amount of snowfall still out of the storm. Here's a look at the snowfall projection through Tuesday morning in these locations. You can see those hefty amounts up into parts of Michigan, especially the UP, as well as for parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and that would even extend through North Dakota as well. We have about a 2 to 6 inch area, according to this European model, through parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And then the rest of these locations further to the south, really not seeing too much in the way of accumulation out of this little storm, although we will see a few more storms roll on right behind this one that could provide snowfall to these areas a little bit further to the south. Some parts of the Adirondacks and the Green Mountains will also see a little bit of snowfall, as well as for parts of Pennsylvania and New York, where you could be seeing some amounts, maybe right around 2 to 5 inches of snowfall, with of course lake effect enhancement that could bring it up near 7 or 8 inches of snowfall. So here's a look at the upper air map from the European model, and we're going to look at a few of these storms. This is for Sunday evening. So you have the upper air low pressure system all the way up into North Dakota by this point. The surface low pressure is actually further to the south. It's almost down here by that point, but we do have that storm moving in by Sunday evening. This is going to be moving to the east, and then we see this next little wave come in, and by this point, this would be over the northwest at this current point for Monday, where you do have that next storm revving up. This one could be a little bit further to the south, and I think it does have more potential, especially in parts of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, to bring a little bit more snowfall or mixed precipitation. There is the potential for icing with this one, just because of how it's setting up, where you have high pressure that's going to be in place further to the east, and the storm is going to be crashing into that high pressure. So you do have warm air and rising air out ahead of the storm, which is being met by colder air, which is going to be underneath the warmer air. So that could of course cause the potential for some freezing rain or things like that, which again, you just want to keep an eye on that, and I will be updating you guys if anything as severe as that is expected to occur. Now here would be for Tuesday. You can see that system by this point is now into parts of the central United States as a broader trough, which is moving through, and you have that high pressure system also into the southeast by this point, so setting up for that potential mix of rain, snow, and ice. This would be for Wednesday, and you can see that we have that storm cutting through the southeast, and eventually that would move into the northeast. The third storm would move in for Thursday. So this is Thursday. We can see that we have a bigger trough into the west. But again, this is pretty much where we're going to stop it, just because after this point, it does become a little bit more speculative. We know that we're going to have that storm that's going to happen Monday, or actually more Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We also know that we're going to have probably another storm for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and maybe even a little bit further than that, more like Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we can speculate on some of the other storms for, let's say, Thursday and Friday of next week, even for the weekend. But again, by that point, it's a little bit too far out, and we're getting closer to that 5 to 7 or more day mark, which is where it starts to get a little bit dicey in terms of the amount of precipitation and snowfall and all of that will actually be produced. But we are going into a more active pattern with little spells of warmer air in the east, where you might be under kind of under a spell of high pressure ahead of a storm that eventually brings in colder temperatures for a brief period. So it's going to be an interesting one. Again, it's going to be fast moving. We're going to have these storms moving from west to east, bringing some colder air with them. Warmer air is probably going to be out ahead of these storms as well. So wherever the cold air is, the opposite area would be under those warmer temperatures. That's typically how these patterns work. And it looks like this is going to be, again, a fast moving one, and there will be a ton of storms to cover. So I will be keeping you guys updated with everything that you need to know in terms of these storms. I will be probably putting out a snowfall forecast on this storm, I would say by Saturday, or either Saturday or Sunday for this event. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.